Hey friends, have you ever experienced radical forgiveness? I've got a powerful story of a young man named Joseph who was sold into slavery by his own brothers, but chose to forgive them later in his life. What caused Joseph to forgive his brothers in this way? You'll find out as we continue our series, Faith at the Finish Line. Hi, I'm Coach Faith Sherrer, and together we're going to take a look at how Joseph stayed faithful for the long haul, even when the road was long and painful and unfair. So let's set the stage for this story. Genesis chapter 37 says, "Now Israel, or Jacob, loved Joseph more than any other of his sons, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him." Right after receiving the colorful coat, Joseph has two dreams, which will be prevalent as the story goes on. He shares the dreams with his family, and they begin to hate him even more. His two dreams depict the 11 brothers all bowing down to him. The 11 brothers hate Joseph so much, they scheme to kill him. Reuben, the oldest, says that they ought not to shed any of his blood, so they compromise and sell Joseph into slavery. They lie to their father, Jacob, saying a wild animal had taken Joseph's life. This went from bad to horrible really fast. So Genesis chapter 39 starts, "Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands." Even in captivity, God hasn't left Joseph. In fact, he's helping and blessing him. God may not stop people from committing evil because we have free choice, but you can bet that God not only disapproves of evil, but is actively working in the midst of it to bring about something good. Next, Potiphar's wife takes notice of Joseph and asks him to sleep with her, and Joseph refuses, knowing it's not right. In her rejection, this woman lies, saying that Joseph tried to sleep with her. So Potiphar throws Joseph in prison. Verse 21 says, "But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison." Wow. Yet again, people are just really cruel, but God is good over and over. And remember those dreams Joseph had about his brothers? Well, it seems that this is a gift from God because two other prisoners have prophetic dreams Joseph can interpret. Joseph still believes in God and trusts that God can give answers even in troubling times. So chapter 40 tells us that Joseph interprets the dreams accurately, stating that one of the men would be hanged and the other would be exalted to Pharaoh's court as a cupbearer. Another 2 years pass, but God's hand is at work. And when Pharaoh himself has a strange dream, the cupbearer tells him of his experience with Joseph, a man who can interpret dreams. Joseph is taken out of prison, and he successfully interprets Pharaoh's dream. He tells Pharaoh that God is pronouncing a famine in the land. For 7 years, God will make the land produce a lot of crops, but the 7 years after, there will be a terrible famine. So Joseph proposes that Egypt store up 1/5 of all the produce to prepare for the bad years. Hearing this, Pharaoh is so pleased that he puts Joseph in charge of this plan and in charge over the entire country, second in command only to himself. So God used this traumatic situation brought about through human evil to provide blessing for the whole world. And that's just how powerful God's goodness is. Because of Joseph, thousands upon thousands of lives were saved in Egypt and the surrounding areas. But God wasn't done yet. He is in the business of restoring people back to himself and to others. So back at home, Jacob and the 11 brothers were suffering from the famine too, so they traveled to Egypt to buy grain. Joseph saw and immediately recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. Still wounded by their betrayal, Joseph wonders if maybe they would sacrifice Benjamin, the youngest, as they had once done to him. So he tests them by planting his silver cup in Benjamin's sack. Then he accuses them of theft. When the cup is found, Joseph declares that Benjamin should stay as his servant, but Judah steps forward, begging Joseph to take him instead of his youngest brother. At this radical display of sacrificial love, Joseph weeps and reveals his identity by saying, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, 'Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt.'" How on earth could Joseph have a worldview like this after everything that has happened to him? There is mercy dripping from his words to his brothers as he declares that it's God's doing and that he's where he's at today because of God. Here's what I think we can learn today from Joseph. Joseph was a flawed person, just like you and me, but I think he trusted in God's goodness. He knew people were sinful. He knew he had been betrayed, but I think God would never leave him. He was always with him, protecting and guiding him throughout everything. So I think if we want to finish the race of life well, let's follow Joseph's example by believing this, that God is good and he is good to me specifically. He has a plan for me and he plans to bless others through me too. This is how God frees us to forgive others. Man may scheme for evil, but God plans for good. So our security and our fulfillment is not dependent on other people. It's dependent on God. When people let us down and hurt us, God is still working in our lives for good. And when we hurt others, we can be sure that God will forgive us too. And this is how you can be faithful in the long haul. Like Joseph, trust in God. He is good. Let's remind each other of this truth today by posting "God is good to me" in the comments below. And if you want, tell us how he's been good to you. Now be sure to join me tomorrow as we look at King Solomon and all we can learn from his ups and downs. See you then.